The BMW IBSF season finale weekend in Calgary started on Friday with women's skeleton. First World Cup in Calgary for 4 years, and Canada's Jane Channel has only raced once on the track before. She lay in 6th place after the first heat in a tight 6-sled battle for a top 5 run. She eased away from Great Britain's Madeline Smith, and she also managed to overhaul Laura Dees, the bronze medalist here 4 years ago, who was in 5th after the first heat. So Channel led as Elizabeth Meyer came to the track. As Liz Varche, she won her 2nd ever World Cup start here 4 years earlier. And that was her last trip in World Cup down the track. She took the lead away from her teammate, but there were still 3 to go. Meyer was in a tough battle with Tina Herman and Elena Nikitina. They were covered by just 0.04 of a second. But Herman, as she had in the first race, dropping back at the start, found speed at the bottom and then some, accelerating away by 0.2 of a second to lead with 2 to go. Could Tina Herman claim victory here? It's been over a year since she's won a race. Elena Nikitina has had a great season, wearing the yellow vest of the World Cup points leader, the fastest starter, just 100th off her own track record. She was in 2nd place after the first heat, but she dropped behind with the 2nd run that allowed Tina Herman to move up to at least a silver medal position, or perhaps we should say at most silver medal, because the first round leader, Mimi Reneva, was 3300s in front, and in the 2nd heat she did not falter. She drove away to a comfortable win, not only her first in Canada, but her first ever not on a natural track. Her 2 previous career runs have both come in St. Moritz for gold, and Mimi Reneva now wins her first artificial track gold medal ahead of Tina Herman and Elizabeth Meyer, all 3 Canadians in the top 5. Elena Nikitina is 2 runs away from a crystal globe. Tina Herman now her closest rival, but it was a day to celebrate for Canada's women. Also in action on Friday, making up for the missing race in Koenigsegg. Nikita Chegabov of Russia, lying in 5th position after the first heat, but only the 14th fastest starter. He's lost his mojo at the start of the track, and on this glider's paradise, he struggled to stay in front of Canada's Dave Greshcheshin by just a few hundreds. Grid still recording a career best in Calgary. Thomas Ducour's last time the World Cup was here 4 seasons ago was the silver medalist, but after the first heat he was only in 4th position, just 700s ahead of Chegabov. His challenge was to get into the medals, so getting ahead of Chegabov was at least part way there. Unfortunately for Ducours, the top 3 was 1700s away from him. In 3rd place, Sun Bin Yun. In his first ever World Cup season, he raced here to the bronze medal position, and he was in that position after the first of the 2 heats. But a blinding run down at the bottom of the track from the Olympic champion put him a huge ½ second ahead of Thomas Ducours. With 2 to go, there were only World Cup champions remaining. Martin Ducours, 51 times a winner in the World Cup, his last coming a couple of weeks earlier. But right at the end of the run, his form deserted him and he dropped behind Yun by 0.03 of a second. He'd only been 400s behind Tretyakov in the first heat. If the Russian rocket stumbled, Yun could take the gold. But Tretyakov is in perhaps the form of his career. At 34 years old, the 2014 Olympic champion is the World Cup points leader and looking for his 2nd career Crystal Globe. His 2nd in 10 years. He won his 14th career race, his 4th of the season now out of 7 starts. And there's still 1 more race to go here in Calgary. Yun, the silver medalist, ahead of Martins and Thomas Ducours. But gold went to Alexander Tretyakov of Russia. Win number 4 of the season. He creeps just ahead of Sun Bin Yun. A podium finish here will guarantee him the Crystal Globe tomorrow. Saturday morning, action early for the Women's Skeleton World Cup finale. Bronze medalist 4 years ago, the last time there was a World Cup race on this track, and her first World Cup medal. Laura Dees was in 6th position after the first heat, but a smoking 2nd run would see her take a comfortable lead from Jane Channel of Canada. Sixth after the first of the two heats, the World Cup points leader, Elena Nikitina. Now, she only needed a 14th position finish to guarantee herself the Crystal Globe as the series title winner, and she had a good run going, but it drifted away at the bottom of the track. She dropped behind Laura Dees with 5 sleds still to go. The Russian still led when Tina Hermann came to the line, runner-up in the last 2 World Cup seasons, second in the points coming into the final race of the year. She'd been on the podium the night before, and she took a handy lead over Laura Dees, with Nikitina now in third, and still 3 to go. After Russia's Yulia Kanakina had dropped out of medal contention, there were just 2 sliders left, both Canadian, both medalists the night before. Second after the first heat, Mimi Reniva. She'd won on Friday night the makeup race for the missing encounter in Koenigsegg, but she dropped behind the flying German into second spot. She still had a chance of a medal. The final slider, Elizabeth Meyer. 4 years ago, the World Cup here was her second ever World Cup race, and she won it. She was in the bronze medal position the previous night. Could she win again? Well, she dropped behind before the line, out of the medals. Tina Hermann claiming the final win of the World Cup season from Mimi Reniva and Laura Dees back on the podium. And Tina, second in the World Cup rankings, but the World Cup champion for the first time ever in women's skeleton is a Russian, Elena Nikitina, as she claimed the Crystal Globe at season's end. A Saturday lunchtime start for women's bobsleigh, the final race of the season. After the first heat, Brittany Reibold of the USA, fresh off 5th place a week earlier in Lake Placid, lay in another top 6 position. First, she had to beat Alicia Rissling, the local girl, just 0.02 of a second behind at the line. Reibold with the lead and 5 to go. Nadezhda Sergeva, one of only 3 drivers in the field who raced in the last World Cup encounter here 4 years ago. Then she was 10th, 5th place after the first heat. Narrow race with Brittany Reibold of the USA, and they ended up tied for the lead. They'd both be in the top 5 at least. In 4th place after the first heat, the new junior world champion in bobsleigh, Kati Beil and Jennifer Oniasanya of Austria. They were a quarter second out of the medals, but they had more than enough to hold off the tie between Russia and the USA, and they would be on the fringes of the top 3. All it took was one mistake to give the Austrians a medal, but Stephanie Schneider of Germany, her only previous race here as a brakewoman behind Anja Schneider-Heinze, she was in the top 3 in the first heat and improved her run in the second to take a big advantage over the Austrians and guarantee herself another medal. The winner last time out 4 years ago, and the winner last time out 1 week ago in Lake Placid, the same person, Alana Myers-Taylor. With Lauren Gibbs behind her, 2 solid starts and a great run down the track to take the lead with just 1 sled to go. Would it be enough for gold? Well, Mariama Yamanka, the Olympic champion, looking for her 4th win in 8 starts this season with Annika Dracek behind her. She got a great start in the second run, and with 1900s in hand in the first trip, she drove away from Alana Myers-Taylor to win by 3/10, going away from the American. After never winning a World Cup race in her life, Yamanka has now won half the World Cup races she started this season since winning the Olympic title. Alana Myers-Taylor silver, Stephanie Schneider, her first drive down the track, in the bronze medal position. And Mariama Yamanka seals her season with the Crystal Globe, ahead of Schneider and Myers-Taylor, a first in 7 seasons for a German female bobsleigh pilot. 2-man season finale, Saturday afternoon in Calgary. Nico Balter lying in 6th position after the first of the 2 heats, still struggling with a torn hamstring. He's trying to keep healthy for the World Championships. Nothing wrong with his driving though. The German flying at the bottom of the track to take a comfortable lead over Canada's Nick Polignato with 5 to go. Johannes Lochner was fourth after the first heat. Nico Walter, his teammate, still led as he came to the ice. Never raced on this track before in his life, but Lochner didn't let that show. A great run to take the lead and maybe a shot at the medals. Yoon Jung-won of Korea, with 25 races under his belt on this track in two-man and four-man, has more experience than almost anybody else. Third after the first heat, but midway down the run, he dropped behind Hansi Lochner, and he would be in second place at the line with two still to come. Lochner in the medals. And now it was all about history. Justin Cripps, the only man who might stop the perfect season. 0.04 of a second off the lead. The Olympic champion in 2018 in two-man on home ice put in a smoking second heat to stay in front of Lochner and to lay down a challenge to Francesco Friedrich. Friedrich has won 7 of the 7 two-man races this season. No slider has ever won every race in a World Cup campaign. Not until now. Friedrich held his nerve and his speed, winning by 0.09 of a second. The perfect season for the joint Olympic two-man champion. 8 wins out of 8. He's been unbeaten in over 14 months. Justin Cripps in second, Hansi Lochner in third, and Francesco Friedrich, the perfect season, wins the Crystal Globe from Kiba Manis and Nico Walter. Sunday morning and an early cold start for the final race of the Men's Skeleton World Cup. Great Britain's Marcus Wyatt, 9th after the first heat in a group of sliders up to the top 3, separated by just 0.12 of a second. A great opportunity for the fast-starting Brit to move up, and a great second run gave him the chance to do exactly that. Wyatt was still in the leader's box when Thomas Ducours came to the ice, 6th place after the first heat. Ducours dropped behind early on in the run, but then he used his speed at the bottom to put himself into the leader's box. And there he remained until his brother came to the line. Martins 3rd after the first heat, tied with Dave Christian of Canada, who dropped by the wayside. And Martins was in front almost all the way down the track. It looked as though he had just enough, but a couple of errors crept in. And at the line, he was 0.03 back. Thomas in the medals, Martins in second spot with 2 to go. The final 2 battling for the Crystal Globe. The winner on Friday in the makeup race and the runner-up. Alexander Tretyakov had won his 4th race of the season on Friday night, was looking for win number 5 in a standout year for him. The Russian had 4,500 in hand over Thomas Ducours. Would that be enough? The final man on ice, fastest in the first heat, silver medalist on Friday night, but Sunbin Yoon of Korea put together 2 sparkling performances. He had a 10th in hand over Tretyakov in the first heat. That drifted away to 600s at the line, but it was Yoon's 2nd win of the season. Not enough to overhaul the Russian rocket, however, as the season champion. Sunbin Yoon claiming the last World Cup win of the season from Alexander Tretyakov, who is our Crystal Globe winner a decade after becoming World Cup champion for the first time. The blue ribbon event, the final of the 4-man World Cup season in Calgary. Home ice for Justin Cripps, the Canadian silver medalist in the 2-man the night before, in 5th place after the first heat of the 4-man. The 32-year-old using all his experience to leave himself in the lead over Maxim Anginov with 4 sleds to go. But would the winner in Lake Placid be able to take a medal? Ahead of him by just a few hundreds of a second in the first heat was Hansi Lochner. The German, with just 200s in hand, drove away from the Canadian to stay a 1/4 of a second in the lead and throw down a real challenge for the medals. Oscar's Kiba Manis in 3rd position after the first of the 2 heats. Not on the top step of the podium all year, never lower than 4th. Would he be in the medals again? For the first half of the run, it looked like it. but then he dropped behind the flying Lochner. He was in second at the line. Lochner was in the medals with 2 to go. Nico Walter of Germany lay just 900ths of a second off the first round leader, despite still not being fully strong after his torn hamstring earlier in the year. But a blinding first and second run put him right in the thick of it. He took the lead from Hansi Lochner, a German 1-2, and one sled yet to come. And that sled, the 2-man World Cup champion, the 4-man World Cup leader Francesco Friedrich. Fastest in the first heat, he also went quick enough in the second heat to hang on to win it, 1900ths ahead of his teammate, completing the German clean sweep. And Friedrich, the 2-man World Cup champion, now the 4-man World Cup champion and the combined champion. His 7th win of his career, the 5th in 4-man of his season this year. Friedrich feeling no pain. The best bobsled driver of the year as we head to the World Championships.